He wiped his phone clean, every call, every photo. Gone. But one message remained. And that message wasn't meant to be seen. Ethan Cole lives on the 3rd floor of a quiet building. No noise complaints, no visitors, no patterns anyone can track. Early 30s. Freelance cybersecurity specialist. The kind of man who covers his webcam and then unplugs it anyway. Multiple devices, encrypted apps, passwords that change faster than most people check their email. Too careful. Tonight, he reports a break-in attempt, says someone tried to access his apartment. The officers arrive within minutes, door intact, locks untouched, windows sealed, no forced entry. Ethan stands in the corner of his living room, arms crossed, eyes fixed on nothing in particular. Calm, but not relaxed. Someone was here, he says. No hesitation, no stutter. Just certainty. One of the officers walks the perimeter again, checks the hinges, runs a hand along the frame. Nothing. Are you sure? The officer asks. Ethan nods once. I don't make mistakes like that. Silence stretches. Then the second officer notices the phone sitting on the table. Screen dark. No notifications, no fingerprint smudges. Mind if we take a look at this? He asks. Ethan hesitates, just for a second. Then, go ahead. The device powers on. Blank, no contacts, no messages, no call logs, no apps beyond factory defaults. It's not just cleared, it's reset. The officer frowns. Recently wiped? Ethan shrugs. I do that regularly. Why? Security. The officer scrolls again. Nothing. Nothing. Then, one message. No name attached. No number saved. Just a single thread. Received. Timestamp. 11:47 p.m. And the officer taps it. 3 dots appear, like it's still trying to load something. Then the message opens. No emojis, no greeting, just one line. You shouldn't have checked the door. The room goes still. The officer looks up slowly. Who sent this? Ethan doesn't answer. He's staring at the phone now, but not at the message, at the timestamp. 11:47 p.m. The officer checks his watch. It's 11:52. You said the break-in attempt happened around 11:30, he says. Ethan nods slowly. Yeah. Then why did this come in after that? No response. The air tightens. The second officer steps closer. Mr. Cole, who were you expecting tonight? Ethan finally looks up, and for the first time, there's something off. Not fear, not confusion, recognition. I didn't check the door, he says quietly. The officers exchange a glance. Then what does that mean? One asks. Ethan swallows, steps back, eyes drifting, not to the door, but to the hallway behind them. You did. The officers don't turn immediately, not at first, because something in Ethan's tone isn't urgency, it's confirmation. Slowly, too slowly, the first officer glances over his shoulder toward the hallway, empty, dim, still. The second officer steps forward, hand resting lightly near his radio. Who's back there? No answer. Ethan doesn't move, doesn't blink. You said someone tried to get in, the officer continues, but there's no forced entry, no damage, nothing missing. A pause. Except everything on your phone. Silence. The first officer lifts the device again, scrolls back to the message. You shouldn't have checked the door. He zooms in on the timestamp. 11:47 p.m. Dispatch logged your call at 11:49, he says slowly. That means this came in. before you even contacted us. Ethan nods faintly. I know. The officers exchange another look. Something shifts. This isn't a break-in, it's something else. Mr. Cole, the second officer says carefully, we're going to need you to explain exactly what happened tonight. Ethan exhales. Not nervous, not shaken, just done holding it in. I heard the knock, he says, 3 times. Not loud, not soft, just exact. He looks toward the door. I don't answer knocks. The officer nods. You said that already. Ethan continues anyway. I checked the camera feed first. A beat. There was no one there. The hallway stays quiet behind them. I waited, he says. Thought maybe they stepped out of frame. Another pause. So I opened the door. The first officer frowns. But you just said... I know what I said. Ethan's voice sharpens for the first time. I didn't see anyone. The air feels thinner now. Then I closed it, he continues. Locked it. Checked every room, every corner. Nothing. He swallows. But when I came back to the table, his eyes dropped to the phone again. It was already unlocked. The officers stiffen. I don't leave it unlocked, he adds. Ever? Someone accessed it? One asks. Ethan nods. Not someone. A beat. Something that didn't need to be inside to get in. Silence presses in. The second officer shakes his head slightly. Okay, let's stay grounded here. He gestures to the phone. You're saying whatever did this wiped your entire device? Yes. And left one message? Yes. Why? Ethan looks up. And this time, there's no hesitation. Because I saw it. The officers don't respond. They don't need to. You opened the door, the first officer says slowly. Ethan nods. That's what it was waiting for. A long pause, then a faint sound. From the hallway. Not a step, not movement. Just a soft knock. 3 times. Every head turns. The hallway is still empty. The knock comes again. Not from outside the apartment, from inside, behind them, closer. The second officer spins, hand fully on his weapon now. Who's there? Nothing. Just the hum of the overhead light. The first officer's grip tightens around the phone. Then the screen flickers, without being touched. The message thread opens again, but it's not the same anymore. There's a new line. Typing. Right in front of them. No number, no sender. Just words appearing. 1 letter at a time. Now they've seen 2. The officers freeze. The second officer backs toward the door. Okay, everyone out. Now. But Ethan doesn't move. He's staring at the hallway, eyes wide, not in fear, in recognition. It doesn't break in, he whispers. It waits. The knock comes again. Louder this time. Closer. Right behind them. The first officer reaches for the handle. Stops. His hand hovers inches away because he remembers the message. You shouldn't have checked the door. Too late. The handle turns. On its own. Slowly. The door creaks open. Revealing nothing. Just the empty corridor. Silent. Still. Safe. The second officer exhales sharply. Clear. But his voice shakes. Because the phone is still glowing. Another message. Final. You let it see you. The screen goes black. Dead. The hallway remains empty. No footsteps, no shadow, no sign anything was ever there. Backup arrives minutes later. They sweep the building, every floor, every unit. Nothing. No intruder, no forced entry, no surveillance anomalies. Just Ethan Cole's apartment. And one detail none of them can explain. The security camera footage, time-stamped, 11:46 p.m. Ethan stands at his door, hand on the handle. He pauses, leans forward, as if listening. Then he opens it, and steps back immediately, like someone standing there, but the hallway is empty, until, for a single frame, something appears. Not a person, not a shape, just a distortion, close, too close, facing him, then gone. The footage ends. Case file status, unresolved. But one note is added before it's archived, handwritten. Not by Ethan, not by either officer, just a single line. I pressed deep into the paper. It doesn't need to come in. It only needs you to look. And the next time someone hears 3 knocks, they won't remember this case. They won't remember the warning. They'll just do what people always do. They'll check the door. The digital forensics lab hums quietly. Low light, multiple screens, cables running like veins across the desk. Ethan Cole's phone lies at the center, connected, extracted, reconstructed. A technician scrolls through the recovered structure, partition by partition, sector by sector. Officer Lena Carter stands behind him, arms folded, watching every movement. "Anything?" she asks. The technician doesn't look up. "Yeah," he says slowly. "But it's not what you think." He zooms in on the data map. Clusters of empty space. Clean gaps. Not corrupted. Removed. This wasn't a crash. Not malware. Not a glitch, he continues. This was deliberate. He taps the screen. Every file, calls, media, logs, targeted and wiped individually. Carter leans in slightly. Meaning? Meaning whoever did this knew exactly where everything was stored and how to remove it without leaving residue. A pause. This wasn't random, he adds. It was precise. The room goes quiet. Another officer steps closer. "So, Ethan did it himself?" The technician shakes his head. "If he did, he didn't rush." He brings up a timeline reconstruction. Fragments of activity begin to form. Deletion sequence ran over several minutes, he says. Not a panic move, more like a checklist. Carter's eyes narrow. Like someone making sure nothing gets missed. Exactly. Silence. Then, the technician stops scrolling, zooms in. "There's one exception." Carter steps closer. "What do you mean?" He taps a remaining data fragment. A message thread, untouched, preserved perfectly in the middle of everything else that's been erased. "Why would someone wipe everything?" The second officer mutters. And leave this?" Carter doesn't answer. "Open it." The technician hesitates for half a second, then taps. The message loads instantly. No contact name, no saved number. Just a timestamp. 2:14 a.m., Carter's voice drops slightly. "Read it." The technician swallows. Then, "You shouldn't have opened it." Silence. No one speaks. The air feels heavier now. Carter glances at the timestamp again. 2:14 a.m. She straightens slightly. "That's hours after patrol responded," she says. The second officer nods. "And after Ethan said he was asleep." Carter turns. I pull his statement. A tablet is handed to her. She scrolls quickly, eyes scanning, then stops, reads it again. "He said he went to bed at 12:30, she says. "Didn't wake up until we knocked." The technician looks back at the screen. "Then explain this." Carter doesn't answer, because she can't. Not yet. "So," the second officer says slowly, "who sent the message?" No one responds, because the better question is already forming. Carter turns back to the technician. "Can you trace it?" He shakes his head. "No routing data. No carrier logs tied to it. It's like it bypassed the network entirely." "That's not possible." "I know." He zooms further into the metadata. There's no sender ID, no handshake, no encryption trail. A pause. It didn't come through anything. Silence tightens around them. Carter's eyes stay fixed on the message. You shouldn't have opened it. She exhales slowly. And what did he open? Interrogation room, bright light, plain walls. Ethan sits alone on one side of the table, hands resting calmly. Too calmly. Carter walks in, places a folder down, doesn't sit immediately. You said you were asleep at 2:14 a.m. Ethan nods. I was. She slides the printed message across the table. He doesn't look at it right away, like he already knows what it says. This was received at that exact time, Carter says. On your device. Still no reaction. You want to explain that? Ethan finally glances down, reads it, then looks back up. That's not the first one, he says. Carter pauses. What do you mean? Ethan leans back slightly, eyes drifting, not to her, but to the reflection in the glass behind her. There was another message, he says quietly. Before that. Carter's voice tightens. We didn't find another message. You wouldn't, Ethan replies. Why not? Because I deleted it. Silence. Carter pulls out a chair and sits. Start talking. Ethan exhales slowly. It didn't start last night. A beat. It started 2 nights ago. Carter says nothing. Same knock, he continues. 3 times. Her eyes sharpen. And you opened the door? Ethan nods faintly. Not immediately. I checked first. With your camera? Yes. And? There was no one there. A pause. But something had already seen me. Carter leans forward slightly. What does that mean? Ethan shakes his head. I didn't understand it then. Understand what? That it doesn't need to be there. Physically. Silence. Carter slides the message closer. You said there was another one. She presses. What did it say? Ethan's jaw tightens slightly, then it said... He hesitates. For the first time since this began. It said, thank you for opening it. Carter's expression hardens. And you deleted that? Yes. Why? Because I thought it was a joke. A long pause. And now? Ethan looks at her directly. I know it wasn't. The room feels smaller, tighter. Carter taps the second message. You shouldn't have opened it. What changed between the first and this one? Ethan doesn't answer immediately. Then, I did, he says. Silence. Carter studies him carefully. What did you open, Ethan? A long pause. Too long. Then, the door, he says. Carter shakes her head slightly. No. Her voice is firm now. That's not enough. Ethan leans forward, eyes locked onto hers. You think this is about someone getting inside, he says quietly. It's not. Carter doesn't respond. You keep asking who sent the message, he continues, but you're asking the wrong question. A beat. Try asking who it was watching. Silence. The fluorescent light hums above them. Carter leans back slowly, replaying everything. The wiped phone, the untouched message, the impossible timestamp. You're saying this thing, whatever it is, it interacts through observation? Ethan nods once. It starts when you look. A chill settles in the room. Carter stands, picks up the folder, pauses at the door, then turns back. One more thing. Ethan waits. Carter's voice lowers. When we arrived, you said you didn't check the door. A beat. But now you're telling me you did. Ethan's expression doesn't change. Not last night, he says. Carter frowns. What? Ethan's eyes flick toward the mirrored glass again, then back to her. I learned, a pause, too late. Carter holds his gaze for a second longer, then exits the room. The door closes behind her with a soft click. Ethan sits alone again, still, silent. Then, he slowly turns his head toward the mirror, stares directly into it, and for a brief second, something in the reflection doesn't match his movement, just slightly, just enough. Then it's gone. Ethan doesn't react, because now he knows better than to look twice. The observation room is dim, muted screens, one-way glass. Officer Lena Carter stands motionless, eyes fixed on Ethan through the mirror. "He's holding something back," the second officer says quietly behind her. Carter doesn't respond, because she's not watching Ethan anymore. She's watching his reflection. "Yeah, rewind that," she says. The technician scrubs the footage back a few seconds. Ethan sitting still, head turning slowly toward the glass. Pause. Frame freezes. Carter steps closer. "Zoom into the reflection." The image sharpens. Ethan's face, calm, controlled. But behind the glass, something is off. His reflection is slightly ahead. Not by much. A fraction of a second, but enough. The second officer leans in. "That's just lag, right?" The technician doesn't answer, because the system doesn't lag. It records in real time, frame by frame. Carter's voice drops. "Play it." The footage resumes. Ethan turns. His reflection finishes the movement. First, then aligns, like it corrected itself. Silence fills the room. "Pull the hallway cam from earlier," Carter says. The technician switches feeds. Timestamp, 11:46 p.m. Ethan at the door. A hand on the handle. Pause. He leans forward slightly, like he's listening. "Slow it down," Carter says. "Frame by frame now." Ethan opens the door, steps back. Empty hallway, nothing there. "Wait," Carter says sharply. "Go back one frame." The technician obeys. There, right at the threshold. Not a person, not a shape. A distortion, like heat bending the air, centered at eye level, facing him. Carter's jaw tightens. "Enhance it." The image breaks under pressure. Pixels stretch, smear. But something remains consistent. The position, exactly where someone would be standing, if they were there. The second officer exhales slowly. "So it was there?" Carter shakes her head. "No." A pause. "It was seen." Silence. The technician pulls up the message logs again. "Look at this," he says. "Time gap between the first deletion and the last." Carter turns. How long?" 6 minutes. "And the message?" "Sent right after." Carter nods slowly, meaning whatever happened, finished, then responded. A beat, like it was waiting. The room goes quiet again. Then, a soft knock. 3 times. Everyone freezes. It didn't come from the speakers. Didn't come from the recording. It came from the door. Behind them. The second officer turns slowly. "Did someone call ahead?" Carter doesn't answer. She's staring at the surveillance monitor. The hallway outside the observation room is empty. The knock comes again, 3 times. Closer, more defined. The technician stands abruptly. "That's not possible. There's no one there." Carter steps toward the door. Stops, her hand hovering inches from the handle. Her voice is low. "Don't open it." The second officer frowns. "It could be someone from..." "There's no one there," she cuts in. Silence. The knock doesn't come again. Instead, the monitors flicker, just for a second, then stabilize, but something has changed. On the interrogation feed, Ethan is no longer looking at the mirror. He's looking directly at the camera. At them. Carter's breath slows. "He knows," the officer whispers. Ethan leans forward in his chair. The audio crackles, even though no one enabled it. His voice comes through anyway. Calm. Clear. You opened it. Carter steps back slightly. No one turned that on, the technician says. Ethan tilts his head, almost curious. Now it knows you too. The screen glitches. His image distorts for a fraction of a second. Like the hallway footage. Then returns. Normal. The audio cuts. Dead silence. Carter turns back to the door, still closed. Still untouched. Slowly, she reaches out, grips the handle. The second officer steps forward. Carter, don't! Too late. The handle turns, the door opens. Empty hallway, nothing, no footsteps, no shadow, just silence. Carter exhales slowly. Then, behind her, a screen lights up. The technician turns, the message log. Ethan's phone. Connected remotely. A new message appears. No sender, no signal. Just text forming in real time. That wasn't the first door. The room goes cold. Carter turns slowly. What does that mean? The officer asks. No one answers, because deep down, they already understand. Carter looks at the bank of monitors. Every camera feed, hallways, stairwells, entry points. Then, one by one, each screen flickers and stabilizes, but the angles are wrong, slightly shifted, like something adjusted them, watching, and the technician backs away. It's in the system. Carter's voice is tight. No. A pause. It doesn't need the system. Another message appears, faster this time, more certain. You looked. The second officer shakes his head. We need to shut this down, now. He reaches for the power strip, pulls it. The monitors go black, all of them. The room drops into darkness. Only the faint emergency light remains. No screens, no signal, no visibility, silence. Then, from somewhere in the room, a soft knock. 3 times. Not from the door. From inside. Right behind them. Carter doesn't turn, doesn't move, because now she understands the pattern. It doesn't follow walls, it doesn't follow space, it follows attention. Another knock. Closer. Then, a whisper. Not loud, not clear, but enough. You shouldn't have... The voice trails off, and the emergency light flickers, then dies. Complete darkness. No movement. No sound. Minutes pass, or seconds. No one can tell. Then, power returns. Lights snap back on. The monitors reboot. The room is exactly as it was. Except, the technician is gone. No chair movement, no door opened. Just gone. Carter's breath catches. The second officer spins. Where did he... He stops. Because on the central screen, a live feed appears. Not from the building, not from any camera they recognize. It's a room, dim, familiar. The interrogation room. Ethan sits alone. Exactly where they left him. But he's not looking at the mirror anymore. He's looking slightly past the camera, like he sees something standing just beside it. Another message appears on the screen, not on the phone, on the feed itself, burned into the image. He opened it first. Carter's voice is barely audible. What did we open? Ethan smiles. Not wide, not obvious, just enough. Then he speaks, even though no audio is connected. They read his lips, slowly, clearly. Not the door. The feed glitches, cuts, returns to normal camera rotation, empty hallways, closed doors, nothing unusual. The technician never reappears. The system logs show no exit, no entry, no anomaly, just a gap, unexplained. The case is escalated, then buried, no official conclusion, no public record, only internal notes, restricted access, Final entry. Subject does not pursue. Subject does not chase. Subject waits for acknowledgement. First contact, observation. Second contact, access. Final stage, removal. And one last line, added without clearance, time-stamped hours after the file was closed. Oh, you're still looking. The lights stay on, but no one in that room feels safe anymore. An Officer Lena Carter doesn't move, doesn't speak. Her eyes are locked on the last message burned into the report. You're still looking. The system is shut down. The technician is gone. Ethan Cole sits somewhere in the building, or maybe not, and one detail keeps looping in her mind. This didn't start when the door opened. It started when someone looked. Somewhere else in the building. A monitor flickers back to life. No input, no power source connected. Just a single frame loading slowly. Grainy, distorted, a hallway, empty at first, then a figure, not walking, not entering, just already there, standing directly in front of the camera, facing it, waiting. The image sharpens, and just before the screen cuts to black, it leans closer, as if it can see through the lens. Back in the observation room, Carter finally exhales. Quiet. Measured. But her hand trembles slightly as she reaches for the case file, because now she understands the one thing no one wrote down. This isn't contained. It's not in the apartment, not in the building, not in the system. It follows attention. And once it knows you've seen it, it doesn't leave. If you made it this far, you're part of it now. Because the question was never just, who sent the message? It's, why was it left for someone to find? This is part one, and what happens next is where everything breaks. Because in part two, they don't just investigate anymore. They try to stop it. And that's when they realize they were never dealing with something that can be stopped. So don't miss what comes next. Watch closely, but not too closely, because the moment you notice it, it might already be noticing you. Part two is where it starts looking back.